Over and over again, we tell you about the things that Disney is doing behind the scenes that continue to make them go broke, and yes, it's going woke. But folks, we're here to tell you that today's conversation is supremely important. It matters greatly. Hang in, folks, we're going to tell you why The Simpsons is, at least for today, very, very relevant. Hello, folks. Welcome back to the Pro Channel, the place where we endeavor to explain entertainment, keep you ahead of the culture curve. A joy every time you join us. Thank you for spending your time. Jonas, thank you also for being here for this deeply important conversation. How are you today?
Well, hidely hodily, neighbor. It's indeedly doodly a good day to see you.
Oh, who let Flanders in here? All right, Jonas, it's no surprise, no shock to folks out there, perhaps, that you and I both have tremendous voice work in our past, and we think that this really matters, but it goes far beyond voice work. The topic for today has to do with how actors are going to be allowed to perform jobs for the future. And folks, Hollywood has completely left the reservation. Let's dive into the topic today. This one out of Variety by Zach Scharf says, The Simpsons star Harry Shearer stopped voicing a black character and then started hearing folk say the show has become woke in recent years, and I appreciate the rhyme. Here's what it says. Mr. Shearer has voiced dozens of characters on Fox's The Simpsons, from No Mr. Burns to Jonas.
Ned Flanders.
And Principal Skinner. Folks, that's all. We're not going to keep doing this. We could go all day. But he was replaced as the voice of Springfield physician, Dr. Hibbert, when producers of the show vowed in 2020 to no longer have white, to summon Stewie, actors voice characters of color. Now, this is really confusing to me, Jonas, because all of the characters on The Simpsons are of color. In fact, if you go back to the very first episodes, you will find some characters who have sort of a peachy, tannish, Caucasian colored skin, but The Simpsons are yellow. They're distinctly yellow, and I didn't know that yellow was a race, but apparently, well, Shearer recently.
Also, I'll point out that Smithers was black in one of the first episodes of The Simpsons. He was silent and black.
He was an early trailblazer that has not been fully recognized. We'll say that. Here's what Mr. Shearer had to say. Jonas, folk say the show has become woke in recent years, and one of my characters has been affected. I voiced the black physician, Dr. Hibbert, who I based on a certain particular Cosby. Back then, he was known as the whitest, thank you, Stewie, black man on television. Then a couple of years ago, I received an email saying they'd employed a black actor who then copied my voice. The result is a black man imitating a white man, imitating the whitest black man on TV. Jonas, here's why this really matters, way beyond voice acting on cartoons. This is a huge deal, I think, and I'll tell you why. Disney, who now, they own The Simpsons, and they're the ones doing this. Disney is setting a precedent where you are not allowed to play someone if they're not like you, but it's only certain someones who can't play other ones. Let me explain. If you are a woman and they need you to play a child, they have no problem with that. If you are young and they want you to play someone who is old, they currently have no problem with that. Sorry for those of you who cry out ageist. But Jonas, if you are of a particular group, you are not allowed to apply for roles any longer outside of that very narrow spectrum. And the problem that I have with this, because it's going to be way farther out than voice actors, this is just the Disney protocol, as far as I can tell, applied to The Simpsons. But this is much more broadly, I think, applied across the industry. The problem here is that if people can no longer play any role that they're sufficiently good at, I fear that it divides society even further. I fear that it creates a hostile environment for compassion and empathy, because you cannot even be allowed to act out the role of someone who is different than you. Jonas, tell me where I'm wrong.
No, I think you're absolutely correct. I think the only thing that this really does, as far as The Simpsons goes, is increase production value, because I absolutely doubt that Harry Shearer is willing to take a pay cut on it. All it does is make an ideological statement. And of course, They play all kinds of races on The Simpsons, and it's an equal opportunity level of disdain for everyone. One of the great things about the former Simpsons writing was that they would take shots at both sides if there were two sides, and if there were more sides, they would take more shots at more people. It was an excellent lampoon of all of culture.
And that's really how you have credibility, I think, in comedy, is you lampoon everything. If you don't, then people won't continue to watch your stuff because they recognize that you are no longer the jester who is unafraid and unavailable to shift the ethic and the ethos depending on what the royal wants, but rather you become a propagandist who will do anything and everything that the corporation demands. Jonas, take a look at this. I want to remind people how important it is for people of various races to be able to play roles that aren't necessarily within their own given birth race. Take a look at this. We all know who this is. This is Uncle Phil to so many of you out there. James Avery died in 2013. We miss him very much. Gone far too young. However, folks, I want you to know that James Avery is not just Uncle Phil. No. Heavens no. He is a prolific voice actor, and one of the roles that he played, Jonas, according to TMNTpedia, that I did not even know existed until we were preparing for this video, is that James Avery was the voice of Shredder in the 1980s Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles show, the cartoon.
All right.
He is the iconic voice.
I need to ask for clarity here. You were aware that James Avery played the role. You just weren't aware that TMNTpedia existed, right?
Thank you, Jonas. The audience now understands what I was trying to say, and you have made me look far less foolish. Thank you. But yeah, Jonas, this is what we lose out on if we start forcing people into very narrow role opportunities. We would have never had a James Avery, although maybe in today's world with the way the woke works, maybe that isn't part of the stuff Disney wouldn't like. But potentially we would have missed out on someone like James Avery playing Shredder. Shredder is not Caucasian. Shredder is not African. Shredder is Asian. And James Avery, folks, was not Asian. Jonas, tell me some of the pitfalls you see. What are some of the major problems that happen if we stop doing this?
I don't know if you know who has taken over the role of Dr. Hibbert.
Please share with me.
Kevin Michael Richardson.
Oh.
If I can point out, he's also present on this page there in the 2012 TV series. 80s Shredder is voiced by Kevin Michael Richardson in honor of James Avery's passing in 2013. So we have Kevin.
Almost as if the universe is telling us something here, Joe.
Right.
It's almost as if things are aligning together.
Well, and in the voice acting world, the same. There are like a dozen voice actors who get all the parts, anyways. So that's.
But wait, Jonas. Is Kevin? Is he Asian like Shredder?
Truth be told, his grandmother might have been Dutch. Kevin Michael Richardson is a very large black man with an amazing voice.
Right. He has, you can't miss his voice. You hear it and you know it, and it's phenomenal.
Yes, absolutely. And he's one of those amazingly talented voice actors. And he's, I don't know that he is a exact cultural fit for The Simpsons. He's an amazing voice actor who can do all kinds of things, but he's especially known for that big voice. He's gone to in the Lilo and Stitch movies. I do believe he's Kamek in Super Mario Brothers, that movie. Anyways,
wait a minute. Are you saying he's also not an intergalactic bipedal shark character? He's not that in real life.
He might be. But he's also not a wizard turtle creature. But the thing that I really get tired of here is, and I love Kevin Michael Richardson's work, so this is not a comment on him. He took a job. That's not a thing that I'm.
You and I support him playing Shredder, right? We both. I think.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And if it was an original casting for Dr. Hibbert, yeah, no problem whatsoever. But you take something away from it when you have a character that was played by Harry Shearer, played very well by Harry Shearer, by the way, because Hibbert is not a guy that you base an entire episode around. There might have been one here or there because the show's been on for 3 million.
Once you hit 12,000 episodes, you got to find a couple, right?
Right, but he's a one-off guy who's supposed to evoke something very, very quickly. I think Hank Azaria plays one of the two cops, and and even though it's a black cop, it's a bad Sylvester Stallone impression that he does to voice that character. The race is not important, but casting like this makes the race of the character the most important thing, more than the comedy. And that I can understand why that might make some actors uncomfortable, but the audience doesn't care, and it comes off as virtue signaling. Obviously, Hank Azaria is no longer playing Apu after there was an entire documentary talking about the problem with Apu. Perhaps the fact that Apu, I can't even venture to pronounce that last name. Pro, do you know it?
I'm not trying it right now. I say, who needs the Quickie Mart?
Nahasapima Petalon. Right. He was probably the most famous Indian character in television at the moment, but he was played by Hank Azaria. He was probably Italian or something. It doesn't matter what race Hank Azaria is. But the problem became when the most prominent voice in that space became Hank Azaria, who did the role with love. There were jokes lampooning Indian culture right next to jokes that made American culture look foolish next to Indian.
Right.
Culture.
It was not intended to be inflammatory or negative towards Indian persons. It was intended to be used to mock and poke fun at all of humanity, and so it did well there. Take a look at how Mr. Shearer is responding. Go ahead.
I just need to emphasize here: this all goes away if we can all just take a joke.
Yes, that's a great point. Woke can't take a joke. Shearer appeared to question his recasting, as he always tried to make Dr. Hibbard's whiteness, Stewie, as a black man part of the joke of the character, since he modeled him after Cosby. The character is now voiced by Kevin Michael Richardson, as you said. Another black character on the show, Homer's friend Carl Carlson, is now voiced by Alex Desert, after originally being voiced by Hank Azaria. What's interesting about this is that we find out that some of the voice actors, Jonas, and this is being covered in other places, that they're not real pleased with being kicked out of their roles they've held for 40 years. And they are beginning to participate in calling this a woke movement. And just like we saw yesterday when we did the video on the legendary Disney animator director who is now calling Disney woke and that they need to fix this, here I'm starting to see people who would identify, one would assume, with the left out of Hollywood, who are now beginning to realize that this is going far too far. So what is it going to take, do you think, Jonas? Have we reached that point now with this? I mean, I guess I don't understand why most of the world is catching on, and polling shows that being woke is a farce and people don't like it. Bill Maher is even taking it on The View and mocking it. And yet Disney is full force woke still. What's it going to take to switch them?
I think what it's probably going to take is independent creators coming up with their own stuff that doesn't bow to whatever ideology this is. Some call it, critical constructivism. This idea that everything that is in society has been designed by a specific person to keep one person down, and that everything needs to be in response to that, as opposed to going for, I don't know, universality and the idea that maybe we need to relate to people, and the idea that if there are sections of the population that you can't tell a joke about, maybe that speaks to that section of the population actually having a lot of power. I think that what it's going to take is independent creators coming out and doing shows that ignore all of this, and then eventually a Fox or a Disney or whatever to say, okay, well, they're doing it. Can we just buy that from them and put it on our network? Or can we do something that is in the same style as that? I think that it needs to be proven to them that they are working against their own best interests here, if I'm not articulating this well.
No, I fully agree with you. I think the battle right now, partly what we're doing is we're attempting to win the financial battle. And the financial battle is one where we say to Disney and to others that division and tribalism, they can be monetized, and they can be lucratively monetized. They can also be wielded politically for advantage, but we are determined to expose that and to make it as difficult to do so as possible, because ultimately it's negative for society. And so I hope that over the broad spectrum of the videos that we do, that we are approximating that goal as best we can. It would be nice to know that we're hitting that target as closely as could be done so. Jonas, the other thing I would say is that we've had a number of people in the past who have asked us, what is woke? And I think they're legitimately asking what we mean when we say woke. And so it's not facetious. And I'd like to give that answer. And you tell me if you think this is wrong. Tell me where I could do better on articulating what woke is. But I think that woke is Marxism, which has taken the idea of social strife and socioeconomic classes and pitting them against each other. It's taken that and it's swapped out the socioeconomic idea of the poor versus the rich, right? The proletariat is gone. That's not important. What's taken that place then in the categories are immutable differences like race. And so it's a constant battle because one race needs to be higher in the lifted up in the hierarchy of society. And that's what woke is, I think. It's a new version of Marxism. Is that how you read it?
Yeah, that's good. I think that my
sprinkle in a little hatred for the patriarchy as well, and you got it.
Right. Well, my definition of woke right now is the amorphous collection of pseudo-religious philosophies that weaponize sexuality, race, and the concept of oppression in a post-rational crusade against traditional gender roles, marriage, family, Christianity, self-reliance, rational thought, and Western civilization.
Folks, I did not tell him I was going to ask this question. Jonas, do you have that on like a note card you pull out when someone says, what's woke? You sound like you're reading this from somewhere.
I do. Well, you might be aware that I do have a channel called Everything Woke About. And in order to comment on all of this, it really needs to have a definition, because some will say, you can't even define woke. Well, I may need to come up with a less inflammatory version of the definition, but I think most people would agree that the general target of wokeness is Western civilization in general, and the idea that oppression needs to be used as a tool to campaign against Western civilization and all of the things that have constructed society all around us. It's generally anti-Western civilization, if you want to shorten it here. And Marxism is the most popular form of that, because Marxism is not actually about building something better. It's just taking away from those who have built something.
Wow, what a perfect bow to put on this topic, because that's what's happening here. We're not to say that anybody, is better or worse as a voice actor, but Harry Shearer has played a role for 40 years. There was no need to make the change, and the change happens nevertheless, regardless of whether or not it improves the show. It has nothing to do with that. It's about the virtue, the empty, empty virtue. Jonas, you nailed it. And folks, let this be a lesson to you all out there. Never ask for a definition from someone about what woke is when they also run a channel that takes on woke, because they will have the most sterling definition that puts you in your place and reminds you that you don't have all of your verbiage and terminologies crystallized, such as Jonas. Well played, sir. Well played.
You're too kind.
When are we going to get some more content out of that Everything Woke, Jonas?
Well,
when are we going to do that?
I think it will be sometime very, very soon. Got to get freed up. We've been working on a lot of big projects here. We have promised a gaming channel coming in June, and I would like for Everything Woke to follow not soon after, if not before.
And folks, we're here to tell you that there's a super secret project that we've been working on. We're not ready to tell you yet what it is. It's none of those things. But you all out there have asked, nay, I say maybe even chided us. Hey, you guys criticize, you critique. Why don't you create? And folks, we're going to be ready to do that very soon. Major, major project on the horizon. It's been a lot of fun working on it. We are getting ready to be at the point where we can announce it. And I think it's going to bring joy to all of you out there. And that makes us joyful. Folks, it also makes us joyful that you chose to click this video. Consider clicking the like button, share, subscribe, click it, stick it to the algorithms, hit the notification bell, and drop a comment right on down below. Join the community dialogue. Folks, make sure you subscribe to That Park Place, the YouTube channel. Go check out Jonas on Everything Woke. And folks, we'll see you real soon. We've got a 70K subscriber celebration, only 17 months into this channel's existence. It's Thursday at 5 p.m. Eastern. We will see you there. Folks, wherever you are and whatever you're doing, keep learning, keep growing, and keep having fun.
Are you sick and tired of stuff being swept under the rug because you or the media are too lazy to actually deal with it? Or are things just building up around you so much that you can no longer ignore it? Also like the mainstream media? Well, I got the solution for you. I'm Wilton the Troll, and I want to tell you about this revolutionary new product called Jonas. That's right, no longer do you have to put up with stuff shoved under the rug. You can actually get rid of it and dispose of the problem in seconds by using Jonas. You can, in a matter of seconds, deal with the political and illogical buildup of the muck and grime around you effectively and efficiently with Jonas. You might think this is an ordinary vacuum, but you'd be wrong. You can clean up and remove from one end, but Jonas, he actually works from both ends. From the back end, Jonas can blow a whole bunch of hot air, and that's cool. Remember folks, if you actually want to deal with the dirt and grime the mainstream media has been neglectful about, get Jonas, 'cause Jonas sucks.